Good morning.
Hey,
Can you hear me today?
I can, but I'm really sad because my AirPods won't connect to my computer anymore.
You sound good.
Oh, well, thanks.
We'll have to troubleshoot some tech issues later then.
That was not a good job.
Pew, pew. Good morning, Tuesday. So if you are in our Facebook group joining us, click the button for StreamYard and give them approval so we can see who we're talking to today. Today's going to be kind of a non-traditional episode, huh?
Yeah. Why did you want to do this episode? I feel like you kind of came up with this idea and I was like, yeah, man, let's do this. That's perfect.
So I keep seeing in a lot of real estate Facebook groups that are—
What CRM you should use?
What's that?
What CRM you should use?
No. What brokerage I should join?
Should I call my
These are groups that have, like 50,000, 100,000 real estate agents and non-real estate agents in them as well, probably. But I keep seeing the same kind of posts all the time of agents saying like, what kind of side job do you do? What do you do in addition to real estate? What side gigs? Like all this stuff. And I'm like, what? Like, I just don't understand who has time to do something else if you're doing the stuff that you should be doing.
Right.
So I'm completely baffled by that sometime. And even in our group, when I posted, when we set up the StreamYard to go live this week, we set it up last week. And even one of our members, Joe, he commented, he was like, a side gig. He's like, I have 10 buyers. Like, I don't have time for that. And I'm like, right?
Especially in this market.
Right. So then I was thinking that, and then I'm like, oh, well, maybe they're just going through an emotional moment, because my friend Athena, she quits real estate several times a week. So maybe
7.825 times on average is what that comes out to.
Exactly. So I'm like, are they just like fiending out there to try and see, they're down on their luck. They're just, in their feelings, and they're like, what's going on? Because this market is so hard right now, that maybe they just need somebody else to comment and be like, oh no, like just do this instead of, being sad about stuff. So,
and I'm here to be devil's advocate, because as silly as it sounds that people would want to get a side hustle or a side gig,
right?
I kind of get where they're coming from. I don't think it's okay. I don't agree that that's the right way to go if you're going to make your life as your career as a full-time real estate agent. I don't think that getting that side hustle is the right thing to do. However, please know that I understand why people say that. I get it. And I say it myself. I don't mean it, but I say it. Dude, I've gone so far as to send my resume out to people because I'm so fed up. And the worst part is when they call me and ask me to start on Monday, and I'm like, fuck.
Well, I mean, and real estate is hard, and it's really hard right now. But the thing that a lot of people don't know who are new agents or, newer in the last few years is that it's always hard. It doesn't matter what the market is doing. Something is always going to be hard. If it's a seller market or it's a buyer market, it's still hard, because when I started in real estate, it was a buyer market. But guess what? The listings were sitting forever. Nobody wanted to have a listing.
Right. Joe, I hear you. I freaking hear you. And let's go into a moment of honesty right now, okay? Let's be vulnerable.
Yes,
Athena,
that's hard.
Athena has not closed a transaction since February.
Yeah.
That's true. That's the real truth, because I'm not here to lie to anybody. It's hard out there. And that's why people are asking this question. Because we go into fight or flight. Whether we mean to or not, we go into fight or flight. And I think that's where people are coming from with that question.
And even arguing on the other side of that, because I am very good at playing devil's advocate, even with myself. And even though I don't believe in doing the side gigs for very many people, some people can be very successful at being a part-time agent, or having multi-careers at the same time, but they have to be, they have to have hustle and drive. But on the other side of even the argument with myself, some people get a lot of business from their side gigs for real estate.
Right.
But you have to be a hustler, because you're going to be doing work all the time, and real estate is already kind of a pain in the ass, and you're already working crazy ass hours. So if you throw in bartending or waitressing, when are you going to sleep?
What sleep?
Exactly.
So
see, there you go. He got silver lining. Yeah, absolutely.
So backup offer. Backup offer.
I love that Joe's here too, because he was the one who commented last week. He's like,
I love it.
But see, so that one person, you worked for 9 months on that one, and 8 offers you lost. You still got 9 other buyers, right? Still no homes for them too, probably.
If you're feeling this right now, A, you're not alone.
We all are.
B, let's figure it out today. Let's dive into this and figure out what the hell is going on and what we're going to do about it.
Yeah. And the fact is too, something that I want to talk about is for us yesterday, the market is hard. The market is hard no matter where you work, what you're doing, even when you're doing stuff all the time. So even us yesterday, we went for a walk outside of the office. And what were we doing? We were masterminding for ways to generate listings.
And we totally found the cutest little neighborhood that I don't think anybody ever freaking tries to market to.
Well, I don't think anybody ever sells a house back there. So, I mean, they literally live there forever.
Apparently. Well, they have to die at some point.
That's a whole different market, huh? But, that's what I'm saying is we all are, working. But the thing is that we are trying to solve the problem. So that's what we're going to do today is, we see this, we hear the cries all across the Facebook world about people are really, really struggling. So
and it's not just, I just dropped my phone. It's not just in Facebook world. This is going on in our local market. This is going on with friends that I have in other markets that are real estate agents. And let's also be very clear, it's not just happening with people who aren't closing transactions right now. It's not just the people who are slow. Yeah. This is happening to people who are feeling the burnout all around.
And especially people who have clients and they can't get things under contract, right, Joe? You have the buyers. What more can you do? Especially if you're competing with those cash offers and you're really just getting down on yourself and you feel like you're letting your clients down, which you're not, friends. You're not. You're doing what you can.
That's right. So I think that the number one thing, if you're feeling this, is to take a step back, literally in a quiet place, and figure out, why did you start real estate in the first place? Why did you get your real estate license? And just leave it at that. Take that one simple question, why did I start in real estate? And find the answer. We wrote down a list yesterday of what we feel like the top reasons that people get into real estate would be. And that would be that you're making your own hours or your schedule. the money that people say is there, which it is if you allow it to be. But it's not something that you just like walk into with, a $500,000 salary. It's something you have to build. People want to work for themselves. They wanted to be an entrepreneur, especially with COVID times when things got sketch and people were getting laid off, people were closing down. They're like, oh my God, I got to be in control. Some people, believe it or not, actually love real estate and the transaction side of things. It's hard to believe in this market, but there are people who have a passion for it. And then some people just really want to help other people. And this is a great opportunity to be able to do that. I mean, what better way to help somebody than to find a home for their family to live in?
And I think, to summarize, what you said is not to sound pretentious in any way, but, a lot of people, especially since COVID started, really got into real estate because they thought it was easy. They thought it was easy money. They thought it was easy business. They thought, the time and effort was going to be easy, that, just everybody else can do it. They can do it too. And it's not something that the minute you get your license to, you set up your sign in Starbucks and you're like, I'm a real estate agent. And then everybody lines up.
Well, I think too, what happens is people have two things. So when people first get their license, there's always that windfall that they see, right? It's the people who first of all, you haven't been hurt yet. So
like beginner's luck sort of thing.
Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, you have your license. Let me, they want to help you because you're new. They want to help you. They want to give you a shot. So there is a big windfall. And then a lot of times people fall after that because there's nothing, they didn't start their business with a lead generation mindset. They started it with a few lucky breaks. And then the reality kicks in that they're not waiting there for you. They don't have suitcases full of cash just waiting around the corner to write an offer.
Yes.
So, but also the other thing before I got sidetracked is that I think a lot of people, what career, if you can name one, please do. What career can you make an investment of
$1,000?
$1,000 to $5,000 and have the potential to make six figures the first year you're in it?
Right.
It's not a doctor because you got to go to school for 8 to 12 to 20 years for that shit. It's not an attorney, This career is one of the very few that has such a small startup fee and time that people find it to be, they think that it's easy and they forget that they're actually running a business. They're not just selling houses.
And it has been easy for a little bit too. That's the other thing too, is, since a lot of the market started, when it had that little shift right there where it was kind of like the perfect buyer and seller market, then business was happening so fast. And then that's when the peak of everybody getting a real estate license. And they really were like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's going so good. I have a crap ton of buyers and sellers. And the problem is when the market started to shift like that, they didn't know what to do to continue to lead generate because they didn't have to lead generate.
Right. I guarantee you, I wish I knew the exact number. I would like to know the percentage of people who are real estate agents right now that don't know how to lead generate because they've never had to.
Yeah. And even a lot of us has gotten out of the habit of doing traditional lead gen because we could barely keep our heads above water. I mean, last year was my best year ever in real estate. And I was like, no, like I didn't even want to take any more clients because, I wanted to be able to service the ones that I had. And I think that's how a lot of other people felt. But now we're right back to like square one.
Right. And when you have those clients, when you're doing that much business, you're going to feel the burnout.
Yes.
You just are. So success is going to be different to every person. Success to one agent might be 10 contracts a month. Success to another agent might be 2.
Right.
Because with those 2, they found the work-family balance that we all search for.
Yes.
With 10, they can afford to do all the fun stuff. They have a little nest egg, but they're going crazy because they're not sleeping. They're trying to figure out what they missed. Did they skip
And they
this?
have no time to enjoy their money.
Correct. So if you're feeling this way, take a step back. First of all, we talked about asking yourself why you got into it. If you didn't get into real estate because, how do I say this and be nice? We said we weren't going to do this.
So I would say if you didn't get into real estate to have a business, you got into it to have a job with the roller coaster, or you got into it for the wrong reasons.
If you got into real estate because you thought you were going to make 6 figures easily and make your own hours, you got into the wrong business. It's a people business and it's a relationship business, and you're screwing it up for the rest of us.
And it's a lot of work, contrary to popular belief.
Yeah. I feel like this is very emotional, but we're going to go there. A lot of the burnout that some of the seasoned agents are feeling is coming from those agents who might be new, those agents who got into it because it was easy money. The burnout is coming from the lack of education that they're giving their clients, the lack of education that they know about the market and the way things work. So you're taking your clients out, you're setting their expectations, but you're not getting that from the other side. You're going to hit a brick wall.
Yeah.
And then you're going to feel the burnout because you're doing everything you were supposed to do. You prepared your clients, you got them lined up with the right lender, you did this, you did that, but the expectations on the other side weren't set. You can't win you just can't win in that situation.
And it's not even new agents' fault. Like, we're not bashing new agents at all. The problem really is that the market, the way that it is going in all areas, is that people haven't had the time to educate and learn and all this stuff. You know, I mean, usually it used to be when you get into real estate, you didn't even have your first sale for like 3 to 6 months, sometimes a year. So you got all this time to shadow other agents, take classes, and, you know, just educate yourself on the process from A to Z.
And we're missing that big step. We really are. And we're missing that step of people coming in. They hit the ground running and they forget to set up their business in the first place. They forget to create the systems that need to be in place to be successful.
Yeah. And then that's what creates everybody right now as being stuck on that roller coaster wheel that we're constantly talking about, and how they, you know, are looking for side gigs because they don't have any money coming in right now because they weren't doing the lead generation items when they had all this business at a time because they were so busy just maintaining those people at the time.
Yeah. I think a lot of people set their expectations entirely too high when they got into the market, and that might be what's causing some of the burnout and some of the, oh shoot, this isn't working out the way I thought it was.
Yeah.
Usually people take some time to create. I'm going to blame COVID on this again. Usually
Damn it, COVID.
To make decisions. But I think, again, everybody went into fight or flight when things started to shut down. And they were like, oh my God, is my job safe? Am I going to have money to feed my family next month? Like, what the hell is going on? And they wanted to take matters into their own hands. So they became entrepreneurs. I think real estate was one of the easiest things to get into. And they made the decision without looking at everything that goes into it.
Yeah, because I don't think that information is even out there. I mean, you ask any new real estate agent and they're like, wow, this was a lot more complicated, harder. And real estate school didn't teach me anything I knew I needed to know.
Well, sure as hell wasn't taught in real estate school.
Nothing was, for sure.
Except for the square footage of an acre.
So now that we have talked about, you know, all the negative side of, you know, the market and everybody's struggling and everybody wanting to quit real estate several times a week or a day, let's talk about some things that we can do to try and move forward and get business and turn our lives around, get our shit together a little bit.
So if you have time for a side gig, we talked about this yesterday, and I think we both full-heartedly agree with this. If you have time for a side gig, you're not doing the money-making activities that you should be doing as a real estate agent. Or you are doing them, but you're not doing them correctly.
Yes. Yes, because a lot of people will throw money at stuff and hope that it sticks, right? Not always spending your money in the right places is going to be a big part of your business. Okay, like farming a neighborhood, it takes months, if not years, to establish. Poor Michelle. It takes months, years. This is not a quick cash injection. This is not going, it's very unlikely that the first time somebody gets a piece of mail from you, they're going to be like, oh, Michelle, oh, I love your postcard. Can you list my home for sale?
That's not to say not to do it.
Michelle is currently mad at me right now because I have a new listing coming up in a subdivision that she sent out postcards to. And she thinks that, she did that. No, instead they call someone else. Yeah, they call me. Thank you, Michelle, for your marketing.
And let's be clear, that doesn't mean don't farm a neighborhood. You
Correct.
absolutely should be farming a neighborhood. That should always be a part of your business. But understand it's a long-term gain. It's not overnight.
It's definitely something that you should have budgeted, that you have to do every month or every other month and send out this stuff. Also, another thing is if you farm a tiny little neighborhood, the turnover rate in that neighborhood isn't going to be high enough for you to get that money back. Janine in our Facebook group, she has an entire business and program called the Mailer Mom Clinic, where all they do is like farming and stuff. And she's like the genius behind that. And, maybe we can bring her on the show one day. But I mean, she is like, you have to have subdivisions that have like between 300 and 500, like minimum homes in it. And then you want to check, how many, what's the turnover rate of homes selling in that neighborhood, right? So Janine's the expert on farming for sure, but it is a good thing. It just doesn't move very fast.
And it's not just sending a postcard.
It is not.
There's tons of things that you can do for farming a neighborhood that don't cost you money, first of all.
Yeah.
We're getting so off topic, but
we totally are.
We're going to go with
farming's good though. How many neighborhoods should we farm? I mean, that's we should do a farming episode.
We should. And I'm going to wear overalls.
Michelle, I would farm 1 to 2 neighborhoods and that's it, because you're constantly going to be sending them stuff, door knocking or dropping off pop-by gifts or doing client events in the neighborhood. So you don't want to have 5 neighborhoods that's expensive.
Right. We are really off track. Where do you want to go now?
She says it's on topic. Things we need to do to make money. Okay. Yeah. So farming is not one to be doing to make money right now. So let's talk about, what we can do.
So I think the number one thing is to change your mindset.
Yes.
And I know it's cheesy. We hate this topic, like change your mindset, manifest shit and it happens, but it's real. If you have the mindset that this market is awful, if you have the mindset that everybody else sucks, it's not you.
Yep.
It probably is going to suck.
And it's also not just your mindset, but it's the people around you too.
Yeah, that shit's contagious.
And Athena and I, we are probably together the most work-wise than a lot of the other girls and stuff. But I think we do a really good job. Like when one of us is down, the other one is like, well, okay, well, what can we do to fix it? Like, let's turn it around and not be like, well, yeah, that does really suck. I guess we'll both just quit real estate today.
The day we quit at the same time is going to be epic.
But I mean, we only allow one of us at a time to wallow.
Yeah, and sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh, today's my day to be an asshole. And then I'm like, oh, nope, actually it's not. Jess took it already.
And sometimes she gets mad at me because she just wants to gripe about it. And I'm like, nope, we're not. We're moving on. We got 5 minutes and get it all out. But mindset is big.
What about following a schedule?
No. What? We don't ever talk about that. Michelle, do you have anything to say about this?
Don't call her out.
Well, because we always are talking to her about following a schedule in the Facebook group. It's still the only podcast episode she has not listened to. Michelle's not here. She literally has refused to even listen to that one episode.
It is kind of funny. Figure out what your money-making activities are. Write them down and do them daily. Time block them. Put down, yesterday, before I even brushed my teeth, which is kind of gross, I lead power gen from home because I knew that I needed that time by myself to get the things done or they weren't going to get done. So I created a list the night before of who needed to be talked to. And I went through that entire list before I even opened a text message from anybody that wasn't real estate wise.
Okay, so Michelle wants some examples of what are money producing activities. You want to
talking to your database?
Yeah.
Individually. I mean, yes, you can send mass emails. Like we send the newsletter, which is a great way to touch your database, but actually speaking.
It's a digital magazine.
It's beautiful and gorgeous.
Yes. So, okay, Michelle, you out of all people should know this because we conducted an experiment out in the world. We asked regular, everyday civilian people how often they check their email. And it was very slim unless they were expecting something. So as real estate agents, we're constantly checking our email. We're always in there. Email it to me is the best way to get it to me after texting, right? Don't call me. But regular people, no, they are not checking it. They don't have notifications on for email. It's mostly all spam. So what do? Do you actually call them or text them, Facebook message them?
Yeah. The other thing is your past clients. Having that meaningful conversation with your past clients, just a simple check-in. Hey, you were on my mind. I'm not real sure why. I wanted to call and check in with you. How's it going? It always opens up a conversation.
Or have something that you can give them. Maybe you updated your vendor list. Maybe, so a good thing would be Athena going through her database and being all these people that I sold homes to, I'm going to, text them or call them and be like, hey, we just updated our vendor list. I wanted to just check in with you before I send it over so you could expect it to come. I know you're probably getting ready for landscaping and fresh paint and, touch up for this stuff. So I just wanted you to be on the lookout for it. So, anything like that, just some reason to call them so that it doesn't sound like, hi, yes, this is Jess Cassidy, and I'm just calling to check in on you and just see if you know anyone.
Sell or invest in real estate?
She stole my line, but that's exactly what I was going to say. But it's true. Have that piece of value because everyone is so sick, and probably we are more so because we're real estate agents, so sick of seeing it, but I'm sure they are too, right?
Yeah. That's something else to kind of keep in mind too, during this whole burnout period is that as real estate agents, we're seeing real estate nonstop because that's the way the algorithm works.
Yes.
On our Facebooks, our Instagrams, our TikTok, which, by the way, I have a really funny TikTok story. We'll talk about it at the end. But not everybody's seeing real estate all day, every day.
Right.
Mary Jo Smith next door to you is not seeing real estate all day, every day. She's seeing gardening and cooking because she's retired.
Mm-hmm.
So don't think that you're overwhelming people with real estate and that because you're tired of seeing it, they're tired of seeing it. That's not necessarily the case.
Right.
Their algorithms are going to be different. They're going to be seeing other things. So I think it's really easy to, because we feel burnt out from it, to think everyone else is. And that's just not the case.
And, a good way around that too, especially on Facebook, because, Facebook is my favorite place ever. But, creating those lists Yes, because I'm old. Because I feel like you can actually interact with people, but shut up. But if you create those lists for your friend lists and stuff, and you're only interacting with the people that you want to, which are not the real estate agents, that will really help that too. And on the other note, I feel like people have been lacking so much of sharing real estate things online because they're so tired of seeing it from other real estate agents. They're not sharing it. But guess what? Then you're out of sight, out of mind for the people that you want to see it. And then they're going to go with their new best friend neighbor who just got their real estate license last week.
And has no problem posting it all over Facebook.
Exactly. So if you don't want to lose clients, you need to keep reminding them because they forget.
I also think that your downtime, if your business is kind of slow right now, is a great time to try to figure out what works for you. And that leads into the next thing that we have on our list. But now is a good time. You don't have to say, congratulations, to my seller, they sold this house, because everyone else is too. And guess what? That's the way the market is right now. But find something different that makes you stand out. Hey, we got repairs done in a market where that's unheard of. And my buyer's super happy because now they've got a brand new HVAC system.
Mm-hmm. Just like, what that reminds me of, a couple of weeks ago when we did the review episode, and we were saying go in there and reply back to the people who left your review and explain into detail, how that transaction was successful. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm so glad, that we were able to sell your home for $15,000 over list price. So Athena's saying, instead of making the same type of, social media posts that everybody else is doing, do it in a different way. Show why you're different, how, you're helping everybody.
Right. So with that being said, now is a really good time if you're feeling burnout to take, even if you're not, I actually challenge anyone who's listening to this to review your business. We're at the end of the quarter, we're in the second quarter now.
Yep.
It's a great time to review your business and find out what is working for you and what's not. Now, here's where we're going to take it a step further. Bring someone else into it. Whether it's a mentor or a coach, whether it is another real estate agent that you're just really close with, bring somebody in and let them review your business so that they can find holes that you're not seeing.
Yes.
Am I lagging?
No.
Okay. I feel like everything's going super slow.
Slow-mo.
But yeah, just ask for help. Let somebody review your business and find out where your holes might be.
Outside eyes are the best because you're so caught in what you want to do, what you like to do, and you're not seeing the big picture. Somebody else is going to come along and be like, okay, you're paying for Zillow leads, you're paying for Opcity leads. Okay, and how much business have you closed from those two? Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Maybe you could take that $1,000 that you're spending a month on the Zillow leads and, put those into client events and bring people in your neighborhood together.
Yeah.
But have somebody else look at stuff and they're going to see stuff differently because, I might sit there and be like, but I love Zillow. Like that.
This is probably a great time to even incorporate some of your vendors like we talked about last week because you're bringing value. I mean, don't do it one-sided. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you need to reciprocate to their business if that's what they're looking for. But this would be a great time to get involved with somebody who's in real estate, but not necessarily a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Like a lender or an insurance agent, somebody who knows how other agents work and can really give you a non-biased.
And add value from another end of the spectrum for you.
Sure. And then the other big thing, which is really hard for all of us, and we save this for last because I'm sure there's probably some conversation to have about it. If you're feeling some real estate burnout, you probably need to set boundaries. That's hard.
Establish what is burning you out. Is it burning you out because you have too many clients? Is it burning you out because you're doing the same things and not getting different results? Wait, is that the definition of insanity? But, really, focusing on what is, causing that so that you can set the boundaries.
Right. Running your business like a business is going to be the biggest game changer for you.
It goes back to, having a schedule, trying to stick to it as much as you can. Obviously, there has to be some sort of flexibility to it. But if you have a schedule and systems, which I think we are probably going to mention on every single episode, they will change your life. I promise you.
They will. Don't go anywhere.
Where would we go?
Don't go anywhere.
Oh, hi. I guess Athena just checked out there. But that's seriously it, is if you have that schedule and you have the systems, it will make your life so much better because you're going to have more control over it. Then you can set your boundaries. If you don't want to work after, 7 p.m., then don't set that boundary, set the systems in place for autoresponders, right?
Right. And not only that, but understand that you don't have to be everything to everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
I think
and that goes for family and kids too.
Right. In this market, I feel like we're expected to be that way. It's like we're up against all these offers. We have to get to the house within 5 minutes of it listing or it's going to be gone. And sometimes that's just unrealistic.
It is true. Yeah.
So you have to set the boundaries or you're going to burn yourself out.
And it's very unlikely that anybody is going to accept the very first offer that they get. So guess what? If it takes you 2 hours to go and see that home, I think it'll still be there.
Yeah. And here's where it all comes full circle. If you're time blocking your money-making activities, you're setting your boundaries because you know what time you can stop.
Yes. And you're making sure that you have scheduled and that you're actually, you know what? I think one of the things that we really miss on talking about creating schedules is actually doing them and following them. Like it's one thing to create them, but if you're not going to follow it or do it, then the schedule isn't going to work for you. But like Athena said, if you schedule those money-making activities, lead generating, calling, texting your database, creating graphics or newsletters or magazines to send to them to provide them value, those are your money makers. It will never not be to communicate with your database. If you don't have a database, start making one. You go out to businesses, you start interacting with your community and going to book clubs and social events and make friends. That's what it comes down to.
So one last thing on setting boundaries. I think it's important to remember that everybody's goals are different when it comes to real estate. And that's why running your business like a business is so important.
Yes.
Because if you know what your goals are and you know how many calls you have, you know how many contracts you have to close, you know, we're going to funnel this all down. You know how many contracts you have to close, you know how many contacts you have to make that happen, you know how many events you have to have, how many mailers have to go out, blah, blah, blah. So you're running it like a business. Something to keep in mind is that success looks different to everybody. And sometimes just because you have those 10 transactions doesn't mean that that's successful.
Or that that's going to continue to happen.
Because if you have those 10 transactions, are you giving the best client experience that you can give to get repeat clients? Because you might have just closed your 10 transactions that no one's going to refer you off of. Whereas you could also close 2 to 3 if that fits into your goals.
Yep.
And create 3 referrals from each of those.
Yep. That's what they say is the average from every single client is 3 referrals.
So if you're rushing through everybody just to have that, that's why it's so important to run your business like a business.
Yep. And it goes right down to, having that money allotted for marketing, the little budget for farming, the little budget to love on your database, whatever that looks like. But reviewing that, every, yearly, semi-annually, quarterly, and even monthly would be a good idea.
Right.
see what's working, share it with somebody who's a mentor or, a real estate friend or us. We'll look at your business and see, what we think you can work on or, what you're missing in that and how to move on.
Yeah.
Yay.
I'm sad that I'm lagging a little bit because it's like throwing me off. But I do want to talk about this really funny TikTok that I made.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
You don't see me lagging the way that I am?
Yes, a little bit. But it doesn't matter because everybody can still hear the audio good.
Okay. So with that being said, I made this TikTok this weekend that was just lighthearted and funny. And the whole point of it was to create engagement with maybe just a little bit of like sass,
Sarcasm,
right?
yeah.
So the best way to get engagement is to post something that's controversial. So I posted and I said, made my little video with my great lighting in my car, and it said, feeling quite bored. I think I'm going to go visit the Facebook real estate groups and ask if I should join Keller Williams or EXP. So, which of course those Facebook posts go thousands of comments deep about why you should join where and why everyone's better than everyone else. So I got this comment from an agent and he was like, hey, I'd love to sponsor you at EXP. And I was like, well, I'm happy where I am right now, but I always like to keep my options open. And he's like, okay, well, would it be okay if I follow up with you later on? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Please do. You can find me on Workplace. He unfriended me.
That was so funny though, because obviously Athena is already at EXP and this guy's at EXP trying to recruit her and he doesn't even take the effort or the time to find out where she works.
So I feel like my TikTok video was successful because it proved exactly what I was trying to prove.
I know, but it's super funny for sure. All right, well, friends, I think that's it for today's episode. We are so excited to spend the morning with you, and we have an exciting episode planned for next week, so we'll be sharing that with you soon. And we'll be doing that episode right before I leave to Florida for the week, so I'm excited about that. So well, I hope everybody has a great Tuesday. I know Athena is going crazy by lagging. So everyone enjoy your Tuesday. Let us know if we can help review your business plan or your agent schedule. Just shoot us a message and we're happy to help you. Bye until next Tuesday.